Now that I've done the suspension work, it's time to work on the differential. This is a rear-wheel drive car, specifically a mid-engine rear-wheel drive car. It only has a rear differential because those are the only driven wheels. Now, the specifics about this is that because it's a mid-engine car, the differential has a big effect on the performance because there's more weight on the rear wheels. So let's go on and test drive the car. I've already done a lap, as you can see. Check over the settings. I've already made these settings in the last video. These are the 3 settings. This is a comfort hard, comfort soft, oops, and sports soft. And as you can see, for all the settings, there's no modifications. Now, specifically for this one, I'm going to straight away put on the sport brakes and sport brake pads because it has sport tires. Basically, I'd be missing out on a lot of performance using the normal brake system. By the normal brake system not putting enough brake force into the tires. Anyway, starting with the comfort hard tires, I'm gonna drive it as is with the normal differential settings, and as I've already driven it, I'm going to drive it again on camera. It drives fine. It doesn't drive good, but it drives fine. This is the comfort hard, so I missed my braking zone here. So it's very slippery, but because of the suspension settings, I can just floor the throttle out of that corner and there's no snap oversteer. So that's a note that I'm making in my mind about how the car performs. There's still no rotation on the brakes, but maybe I can fix something with the differential to make the car have more rotation on the brakes. I doubt it, but we're going to try it out anyway. And there's a lot of rotation off throttle. I'll try to get rotating here. Now it's understeering. So I give it throttle and then I lift off throttle and it rotates. I need to exaggerate the features of the car so it can be clearly seen. So coming off the brakes and it kind of rotates and then understeers, and then very little throttle input with too much steering because there's no grip in the tires. Causes a little bit of a slide. So here we go, brake into the corner. They'll overslowed into the corner. So lifting off throttle after coasting on throttle through the corner causes oversteer. Lifting off throttle here causes oversteer, and too much throttle at high speed causes oversteer. That's due to the tires again. This is normally third gear with grippier tires. Second gear is kind of short. So watch, I lift off throttle here and it rotates, counter steering. So there's a lot of lift off oversteer on throttle, as well as lift off brake oversteer. There it is, there's the rotation. Once the car settles, it understeers. So that gives me signs that I need to increase the locking sensitivity and the torques, and the initial torque, because I don't want this much rotation off throttle, especially on that high speed section. And the initial torque affects high speed, low acceleration situations. So that high-speed section is going to be all tuned with the initial torque. And first, I'm going to put on the fully adjustable differential and then move this to minimum. I would like to go to 0 just to show what the full open differential is like, but I can't. But this is it's all right. We'll see how it goes. Full open, then I'll try full lock. So there's that oversteer, big oversteer off the brakes. Sudden, sharp oversteer. Oh, too much throttle. Okay, I don't need to be drifting. Just calm it down. Calm it down. So I lift off here. Oh, didn't do it. Bad inputs. Brake. Lift off the brake and it's rotating. Very little throttle input. Then the car's revving up, but not accelerating there. And second gear. So it means the acceleration sensitivity is too open. Getting some natural understeer, which I tuned into the front spring rate. The brakes have a lot of rotation, so maybe the differential is making a big difference on the brakes. I didn't think so, but it actually is. So let's see how it is in this high-speed section. I can't go full throttle. I don't want to lift off throttle all the way because that'll cause the oversteer also. So definitely need more initial torque because I got a lot of oversteer in that lift. There it is. Just throttle, lift, oversteer. The car will understeer if I settle it into the corner. Did I say oversteer? It will understeer like that. If I let the car settle into the corner and then turn the steering, it understeers. And there's no way to tune that out except with the suspension, which you'd have to make the car really, really oversteery to tune that out, which I don't like, so I'm not going to do that. Getting some rotation, trail braking. Okay. So, what I learned, I need more acceleration lock. And more initial lock. But before we get to that, I'm going to try something and see how it performs differently. I'm going to change just the braking sensitivity to maximum. See if that actually made a difference on the brakes. So I need a good trail braking corner. It is understeering on the brakes. So previously with the right brake pressure, I could get the car to oversteer on the brakes. Throttle lift, still rotating on throttle lift. Again, that's the initial torque. That would have to do with that kind of performance. Getting understeer there. These are with the comfort hard tires again, so The car was already understeering with the previous settings when the car was at the stock differential. Okay, the car points. Let's try a better corner. I need to come at it with more speed. So there's that throttle oversteer, not throttle oversteer, but over revving. Not over revving, but I'm spinning up the inside tire. So there's some rotation. So now I really need to test the brakes in the last 3 corners. See what the differential is doing. Oh, a little bit late on the brake. A lot of rotation off throttle again. Oh, understeer. Mad understeer. Kind of ruined my drive into this corner. I think I got enough speed. Understeer. Understeer. Okay. Definitely understeering on the brakes, more than with full open lock. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. It'll be, for all 3 settings, it'll take a long time to find the exact settings. So what I'm going to do is set this to the middle and try to isolate. It's not quite the middle, it doesn't go to 0, but it's close enough. So try to isolate where the car is performing good or bad. So if it's at the entry of the corner on the brakes, it's probably the braking sensitivity or the initial torque. If it's the middle of the corner, it's the initial torque. If it's on throttle coming out of the corner, it's probably the acceleration sensitivity. So it was oversteering a lot off throttle. So I'm going to go to maximum initial torque and halfway on the braking sensitivity. Much more stable mid-corner. So with these comfort hard tires, it's going to benefit most from a more locked differential. Having more lock will allow the car to have better performance. But as the grip level increases, too much throttle. As the grip level increases, a more open differential is more beneficial. Which that only comes into play when you put on racing tires on a car. These sports tires they're grippy, but they're not grippy enough to warrant having a more open differential. Maybe on the rear, maybe like a mid-engine car like this, or a Porsche, rear-engine Porsche, might want an open differential in the rear. With the sports tires, but this is a really short wheelbase. So I've got more rotation on the brakes, a lot of throttle rotation, is understeering mid-corner. So I need to open up the rear braking sensitivity and open up the initial torque. And the throttle sensitivity is kind of weird. I don't like having that open of a throttle, acceleration sensitivity. So I'm going to reduce this to 30, reduce this to 15, and increase this to 60. Still a lot of oversteer on throttle, but I think that's due to the low grip. That was a weird oversteer moment there. Throttle oversteer is a bit too high. That is a sign that the rear differential is too locked on acceleration. So too much lock and too much open on acceleration can cause oversteer. Sliding on throttle while turning a little bit. Too much rear differential lock on throttle. Still can't take this flat out, which I don't think I can take it flat out with these tires in general. Still late on the brake there. Too much lift throttle oversteer, so I need to increase the initial torque. Got some decent rotation on the brakes. Could be better. Okay, I don't need to get to the last corner. I'll finish the lap anyway. So, late on the brakes. I didn't get any information from that corner. I'll just exit the track. I need to increase the initial torque and decrease the acceleration lock and decrease the braking lock. So 30 to 45 now. And this to acceleration to 30. And 15, go down, I'll just go down 7. Okay. Here we go. Oops, missed the braking zone. So now I can't rotate through that corner as easily, but I want to find out if it's more beneficial to have more lock on the initial torque than to try and optimize for that one slow corner. Oh, understeering right to the edge of the track. Kept it on the track. Car is gradually oversteering on throttle rather than snapping into oversteer. I haven't really been able to decipher the brakes yet, the braking performance. The car was already understeering a lot on the brakes, again because of the tire performance. I can't get these tires to rotate very well on the brakes, even with the rear brake bias. Very good on throttle. Maybe could be a little bit more open on throttle. Still having problems on throttle on high-speed sections, just due to the tires. good control off throttle. So I'm at a point where it's going to take a long time. Oh, a lot of understeer on the brakes actually. I'm at a point where it's going to take a long time. Let's try this. Braking. Over braking is understeer, which is normal. It hasn't changed. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm at a point where it's going to take a long time to optimize the differential settings. So I'm going to leave the settings as they are. Yeah, still understeering on the brakes, even though the differential is at, on the braking sensitivity is at 8. That's 8, and like, oh, it's almost all the way open. So it has nothing to do with the differential. The braking performance has very little to do with the differential, as it's not performing much different with the open differential than with the fully locked differential. I did get a little bit better performance at 30, so maybe I will just increase the lock by 4. Wait, no, is that 15? I'll go by 3, whatever. And then I'm not going to test it. I'm just going to move on to the next setting because this is getting pretty long. Okay, now I'm going to skip over comfort softs because it's a marginal difference between comfort hard and comfort softs, and I can probably use the same settings as the comfort hards with the comfort softs. However, I want to try jumping straight over to these tires because it's a big difference, and I'm going to start with full open everything, just like before, just to show the difference between the differential settings with the hard tires and differential settings with the softer tires. So now there's a lot of oversteer off throttle because of the grip difference. Because there's more grip on the front end, the differential has a bigger effect on the performance in restricting the front end movement. So because it's fully open, there's nothing restricting the car from just rotating around that corner like that. And I cleared the corner, but that's usually not a good way to drive. Just tossing the car into a turn like that. So it's rotating a lot off throttle. I'll try to get it to really oversteer. So there's a lot of oversteer off throttle. So clearly, I need more lock on the initial torque. Let's try it on the brakes now. This is a good trail braking corner. Brake a little bit later. Getting a lot of oversteer on the brakes. I had pretty good oversteer before, but it's too much oversteer. And I'm probably locking the inside rear tire. So now let's really test the acceleration. I can take this in fourth with these tires. And because there's so much grip, it's not even going to rotate on throttle, even with the full open acceleration lock. And that's why with grippier tires, you can have a more open differential because the tires have more contact, not just more contact, but more grip with the available contact with the road. So the loading is the static loading is the same, but the dynamic loading is different. Right, because there's more grip, it transfers weight more aggressively to the front and to the rear and to the left and to the right. That's why you pull more G's with a grippier tire, because it's transferring the weight differently. So there's that problem. Okay, I think I've showed it enough. Now I'm going to do a full lock test, everything locked up. So with the full lock acceleration sensitivity, it's probably going to be very throttle sensitive. More throttle sensitive than full open. It's because the inside tire is going to be pushing the outside tire wide, because there's not enough difference in tire speed, but there's a lot of grip on the inside. It's actually pretty grippy on throttle. It's not snapping loose like it was before because there's a lot more grip. And the car is actually performing very nicely. These might actually be the optimum settings, honestly. I might turn them down a little bit, but before I do that, I'm going to finish this lap. A lot of grip. So the lock on the differential isn't affecting the car as much. There's a lot less horsepower than some other cars, so that could be one of the factors staying forth here. A little bit of oversteer on throttle around these corners. Easily stay on throttle. So I have a lot of lock on the differential. I don't need it. However, there is a benefit to having a lot of acceleration lock in that when the car drives over different surfaces, like the outside curb of a corner or of an exit, and if you're turning a little bit, the car actually stays glued to the track. So if I were to ride on this with the open differential and turn in, it still had some problems. The car with an open differential might have oversteer problems than having a locked acceleration lock. What am I trying to say? Let me rephrase that. That was too many. I'm just saying lock over again. So on different surfaces, having more acceleration lock is beneficial than having open acceleration lock. That's all I'm trying to say. I was trying to create an example, but I'm not in a scenario where I can produce the example. Anyway, so the car is very stable. It's actually very good. I couldn't get the car to slide all that much. Let's go ahead and copy the track saying 45, 30, 11. Okay, oops. That's what I'm trying to do. Nope. Here we go. 45, 30, 11. 45, 30, 11. Oh, there it is. Yep. So still, the car sticks on throttle. And it's stuck on throttle with the full open differential, and it was sticking on throttle with the full locked differential. So having it somewhere in between, it's probably not going to change much. That is mostly just due to the lack of power in this car. However, with a more open acceleration sensitivity, the car is less likely to snap oversteer around the exits. That is, with a reasonable lock in the differential, like somewhere in the middle at 30 where it's at right now. However, with the two open acceleration lock, like I said before, unequal grip surfaces, like on the curbs versus like half the car on the curbs, half the car on the track, versus what am I trying to say? I got lost in my mind. Anyway, let me rephrase that. With too much acceleration lock, the car is going to snap loose on throttle, depending on how much horsepower you have. Too open acceleration lock, and the car will likely spin up the inside rear tire when accelerating, reducing the amount of power you're capable of putting to the ground. Right now, this car does not have enough horsepower for the acceleration lock to matter. And I haven't put it in a situation where there's uneven grip left and right to cause the open acceleration lock differential to cause problems. So the car is still understeering. on the brakes. I think that's due to the the initial torque. So initial torque has a lot of effect on the trail braking effect. As you come off the brakes, the initial torque, there's the rotation coming off the brakes. Initial torque has a major effect on trail braking because as you unload the front end by coming off the brakes, it's the initial torque that has a major effect on the performance of the car. And like the middle of this video is just completely just convoluted. I got lost in my words, repeating the same thing over and over again. So anyway, I think I need a more open initial torque. I'm going to do that. Okay. So 45 was too much, but it was closer to the right value with the less grippy tires. So I'm going to go down, instead of down to 30, I'm going to go down to 15, which we'll see if that works. That will change the performance mid-corner. It'll oversteer more mid-corner, and also while lifting off the brake while trail braking. So there it is, lifting off the brake. The front end just shot into the corner. I didn't change the steering input very much, and the car just dove into the corner, coming off the brakes. So if you notice, it wasn't the braking lock that is affecting the trail braking that much. It's mostly the initial torque. And so I could actually improve performance on the brakes by having a more lock braking sensitivity. Because it'll reduce the chances of locking the inside rear tire while trail braking, while still getting the rotation coming off the brakes because of the initial torque. So this is the example of how opening up the differential can improve performance with higher grip cars. So I need a little bit more initial torque than 15. I think it's a little bit too wobbly on the brakes. I didn't need to lift there, could have been flat out. So the car actually performs really well, a little bit too much of that. That was an exaggerated movement, I didn't have to cause the car to do that. But it does that very easily, where it just snaps into the corner, and I wanted to do that less. There it is again. So that's the initial torque. So let's change the initial torque again. And I'm going to reduce this as well. Let's change this to 15. There's just enough grip that I don't need it to be super high lock. But I'm going to try and show an example of why you want more lock on the acceleration sensitivity. So this is more. 1, 2, 3 points. There we go. Actually, it goes 4 points. Is that right? No, wait. This was 30, 15. Let's go 7 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. A lot more stable coming off the brakes. There's still some brake understeer, so that would tell me that it's not about the rear differential that is causing the understeer. It's the front spring rate. As if I want to get more rotation on the brakes, well, adding more brake pressure, I need to change the front spring rate. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to refine these settings right now on video. I'll do that some other time. So understeer and then lift off, oversteer. Brake lift, oversteer. So let's see if I can produce the on throttle problem. No, it went too wide. I was trying to get half on that curb and half off the curb, but I took a wide line. That's just force, I forgot. These tires, it's a lot faster. Okay, a little bit of oversteer. See if I can do it here, maybe. No, a lot of grip. A lot of grip on that curb. This might make a difference. No. Let's try this curb. Sometimes it happens on that curb. A little bit of oversteer. Too fast. I'm trying too hard to get it to slide. So now the car performs really well. And I'll compare the differences between the Comfort Hard differential settings and the Sport Soft differential settings. A little bit of oversteer on throttle. There's a good opportunity to try the left-right grip differential coming out of one of these corners. The first hairpin before the hairpin, not this hairpin, the one after this next corner. So if I get on throttle early and I ride the car out to the curb, so I need to do this, carry some speed. I lose a little bit, kind of did it. Anyway, I didn't get a good example of what I'm talking about with having the open acceleration sensitivity on the differential. But these settings are good. They could be better. I could refine them, spend probably like 3 to 4 more hours trying to find the perfect values that is combined with more refined natural frequencies and maybe a little stiffer anti-roll bar or maybe softer anti-roll bar, I don't know. Also under tray, rake. There's a lot of different values, and and dampers, I haven't even gotten to the dampers yet. But these settings are pretty good. So I'm going to try opening this all the way again and see if I can cause the car to break loose when the car's half on a curb and half off a curb. Okay, well, there's too much oversteer on throttle. That's not the scenario I'm looking for, though. Very good traction out of that corner. As you can see, the open differential isn't that big of a deal on equal grip surfaces. Get on throttle early. I was sliding before the corner. Anyways, what happens is the car has less grip on the outside on the curb while there's a lot of corner load, and it can cause a snap oversteer. There's a video where I did it with the racing tires. It makes a big difference on the racing tires, but I'm not going to be able to display this video. So let's turn this back up to 15 and compare. So these are the settings with the sports tires, and these are the settings with the comfort hard tires. Again, they can be more refined, but it shows there's more lock. At least for my preferences with the harder compound tires, it benefits more to have more lock than with the soft compound tires. And I'm going to do a drive and end the video. And I will end the video with a replay. Very early on throttle there. Lots of grip. Too much curb. A lot of curb. Stand fourth. Mashing the throttle through the apex and it still sticks. That's because there's low horsepower, open acceleration sensitivity, and lots of grip. Sticking through this section full throttle, no understeer, and no snap oversteer either. Stand fourth maybe? Nope. Lots of control on the brakes, car points in. Too much oversteer. They're very composed through the exit. Now for the replay. Until the next one.